Hurry up, 5 minutes. 5 minutos. Esta noche es muy caliente.
Hey, download your TikTok app today so you can have Chinese spyware in your house for free. You go down! Give me money!
Fucking future!
We're talking about a fat ass and everything, yeah.
I said loud ass. It's like I took a poop and it was one of those painful ones that brings a tear to your eye. That right there, people, ladies and germs, is disgusting. Oh, we forgot to do the thing on the Discord. Hold on. La 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 la. There we go. Bello. Banana. Oh, look at that sweet girl. Okay, I need to do the thing. I need to find my other phone. Where's my other phone at? Roxy, stay. Stay, mama, stay. You're doing great. Why do I get so stuffy in here? Stay.
Hello, motherfucker.
Hello? I'm hearing again. There's 49%. Hello to you too. How do you do? Shit! Oh yeah! Venus! Roar! They cut back on the budget of the next Jurassic Park. Penises. Okay. Do we get the MC intro? MC intro! Are we reading today? I don't know. We might be. I'd like to just turn the brain off for just a little bit. I did that yesterday, though. I went with my dad. We went to go see Violet Night. And that's what we did. Oh. So this coffee was already a couple days old when I poured it before I left. You know, I'm just going to pour this coffee out and put water in this cup. That's what I'm going to do. I'll be alright. Waffles. So I managed to kill my second cactus ever. I'm not proud of it, but... I did. It takes a special kind of man to kill a cactus. Well, they call me special because I got my helmet on, baby. Oh, waffles. Where's the thing? Ah, hello, kitty couple. And I am definitely a special kind of man. Oh, where are we? What time did you get? Oh God, don't stick to me. Tonight's stream was brought to you by the letter Shut Up. Normally I have knives everywhere. I'm gone for a couple days and apparently there are knives nowhere. I mean, they're somewhere. They don't just up and disappear. Oh, no. Oh, there we go. There's a knife. Oh! See, Lark? You just gotta be the hype man. You gotta do the thing. Oh, that smells so nice. Guys, seriously, if you do enjoy bourbon, chicken cock is where it's at. And if you don't enjoy bourbon, well... Shit, I thought you already applied for the place. What do you mean just finished the application? But it's okay, you got a buddy on the inside. It's an inside job. Well, good. Fingers crossed for you, Bubba. The famous old brand established 1856. Chicken cock. The first application was jacked up? Well, you know, we can't have that. Anyways, what were we talking about earlier? Well, good. Good. I hope it works out for you. I hope it's everything you dreamed it could be and then some. And that one day you'll have some vacation and you'll be able to friggin' do things. Might even be able to see you one more time while we're still breathing. Not pushing up daisies, you know? Pinus. We're both fat and we're both old, and I don't think shit's getting any better. Although, the neighbor said I look like I've lost weight. And I was like, why would you ever say something so mean like that? It was just like, it's just the shirt. Oh, that's like fucking... Just the right amount of candy right there. Bruh. That's a good cock right there. Guzzle that cock. Om nom nom chicken cock. You know what? I didn't even need to drink water after that. I drank water, so the next sip would be like the first sip, and so on and so forth. I cleansed the palate so I could enjoy it just as much the next time around. It's kind of like chasing the dragon, man. You're trying to get that first heroin high over and over again, bro. I just want to get high. What? Fuck. Did I not? This is why we can't have nice fucking things. Oh, wait. Okay. No. Did I not? I am in need of a little bit of nicotine before I decide to read or do anything. You guys know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. Quitting smoking was stupid. Actually, at $8 a pack, that's like 40 cents a cigarette. It's fucking stupid. Stupid, man. Tracking, what are we tracking? Oh, you following. You following high speed? Speaking of which, I was talking to some sergeant. I'm going to assume he's an E6 or an E7. He's about a few years away from retirement. Ran into him in front of south of the border. We chatted for a little bit. And I was just like, looking at your car, based on your personable demeanor, I'm going to assume that you're not a commissioned officer. And he's like, you right. you tracking. Actually, he said tracking. That's the first time I heard tracking in a while. But yeah, we chatted for a while. I gave him a business card. Hopefully he going to tune in. Huh, Mr. M? That's what's up. We just drinking whiskey, hanging out, talking shit. But, you know, there might even be some reading at some point. Books and bourbon, that's our favorite part. Is it? Thought you guys were just here to support me. I can read. Maybe. I mean, my fat ass definitely read a lot of books to get that free personal pan pizza over at Pizza Hut. Hell yeah. Back when they had the tabletop Pac-Mans. Mm-hmm. I could have sworn. Man, this is why we can't have nice damn things. Did I grab the whole bag? What'd I do? Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay, calm down. Calm down. Log. Everybody needs a log. Okay, yeah. So yeah, like I said, I've just killed my second cactus. I don't know how I feel about that. I thought cactuses were supposed to be nearly invincible, robust fucking plants that need a drop of water and they live forever. My personal level of neglect is that high that I can kill cactuses. That I can kill cacti. Oh, damn it! Ruined an opportunity for rhyme. And that's why I'm not a rapper. Well, the main reason why I'm not a rapper is because I think rap as a musical genre as a whole just requires a decent sense of rhythm. And that does not music make. Rap was never great. Changed my mind. I'm not saying it doesn't take a massive amount of skill to write fat beats and mad rhymes, but you don't even need to rhyme anymore. You just need to mumble and auto-tune. And the newest stuff that's hitting the scene is worse than the standard mumble rap. It's, I mean, for lack of better words, if it becomes a trend, I'll call it lagging rap. It just cut out in between words and sentences. It's weird. It's weird, man. Where is everybody tonight? Which count is accurate? Dude, why is this shit fucking busted? What? Yeti still sucks. What the fuck? You changed some of my fucking tags? Damn it, Dadbot. What'd that say? Shit Royale. Oh, that... God, we gotta change some of these tags. Yeah, well, it never refreshed on my phone that I grabbed from the bedroom. Well, grabbed it out of my mini rucksack. Had the old camo and everything, and as a matter of fact, I don't know. I got rid of all my military shit when I got out, and now if I find a good deal on something, like, oh, I used to use that, and I'll get it, but I don't. It has to be something I'm going to use, because I'm not picking up an LBV or anything. So are we reading or are we chatting? Because see, like, you're the only one talking, and you're taking like a hot minute between words and sentences. I know, I'm tired. I'm sorry. It's okay. It's okay, buddy. I got you. See? You don't even... I'll respond for you. That could be light. What? Oh, there we go. Aziz, light! 1, 2, 3. Okay, okay. You and the secretary? Oh. Well, that sucks. So it's they're leaving the sinking ship. Women and children first! Yes, because men are expendable in defense of women and children, because I believe the children are the future. Penis. What do you think about that, Roxy? Are children the future? But she doesn't think so. I don't know. They weren't too bad with her. Little Ollie was grabbing her like he was trying to pick her up. He like tried to hug her around the ribs and everything, and she's like, "What's he doing?" "Oh, it's fine. He's small." And then Bella didn't care either way. She called you a boy a couple times, but I don't think dogs care if you misgender them. Yeah? Dogs don't care. Why should you care? People can have their opinions. People are dicks. Man, Ray talking to sarcastic RN. Just hanging out. Shooting the breeze. They're here, but they're not here. They said they'd be chatting, but I think they want me to read. Oh, what happened? We just had 3 more jump in just all at once. Look, I got this book here. I'm still trying to determine whether I'm capable of reading. I mean, I knew back in the 80s I could read. Ah, they're opening Scentsy boxes in the kitchen. You say read? Of course you would say read. I mean, I tried like 3 times to run a stream from the road, and none of you assholes said that the friggin' stream crashed. The chat was still working. The chat was still working. From my end, it looked like the stream was still running, but none of y'all mofos were like, "Hey, Now, Blue sent me a text message, but I can't really check text messages while streaming, so, like, just say it in the freaking damn stream chat. Like, I see nothing. Well, it was last night and this morning. I stopped and restarted twice on both times, so technically it was 4 streams. But the second attempt at a stream, it only ran for about 30 minutes before I was like, fuck y'all. I quit. This is bullshit. Well, I hope everybody's having a wonderful day, and hopefully I can make it slightly better. End it on a high note. High note. Or low note. Either way. Penises. And just like that, we lost 3 viewers. Well, fuck yourselves. Huh, what? Oh, that's so nice. Alright, let's get to reading. How the hell did I get 3 and then lost 3? Like, it peaked up to 7 from 4, and all 3 left at the same damn time. It's like a conspiracy theory of, fuck you, that's what. Okay, cool, whatever. Yes. I see how it is. Rude as hell. Alright, so we're reading about this guy right here. You may know him. That's right, it's the Jolly Green Giant. Slash from Guns N' Roses. And if you don't know who Slash is from Guns N' Roses, then, well, you need to educate yourself. Go ahead and grab Appetite for Destruction and use your Illusion 1 and 2 and give it a good listen. And listen to it again. And again. Again! Oh. I don't think my eyes are up to the task. I'm going to try, though. It had been a while, and I was about to discover it all again. It was 1989. We had toured most of America, Canada, Europe, Japan, and Australia. We'd watch our albums sit around and do nothing for a year before breaking the top 10 and having a #1 single. We'd shot 3 videos that became mainstays on MTV, a channel that helped us out, but that we didn't care for. We performed at the American Music Awards, playing Patience with Don Henley on drums. We toured with our friends and heroes. Finally and suddenly, we were the band that we'd always known we were, just better. We landed in LA at the end of the Appetite tour. Each of us, one by one, set off to rediscover what we'd left behind. Duff went home to his girl, Mandy, whom he married in 1988. Stephen headed to his chick's place, whoever she was at that point. Doug took off to San Diego. Alan returned to Redondo Beach. Axel went to errands, and soon enough, Izzy and I were sitting alone there at LAX with our brand new Halliburton luggage and no particular place to go. Each of us became a boy in a bubble at that point. We had taken home enough money from touring, and now money was starting to roll in off the sales of Appetite, so that the need to survive was no longer motivation. Everyone was, I suppose, stopping to smell the roses. I'm just not sure that any of us knew how. Izzy made a call, and we went over to a friend of Seymour Castle's, who we'll call Bill. We'd gotten a taste of smack again in Australia, so the craving was there by the time we got home. Besides, after 2 years of touring, subconsciously we both felt that we deserved it. Anyway, Bill had a taste for drugs, and always had plenty of every variety. He was also very generous. Man, that's a good guy right there. I need a Bill in my life. Not that I would do any drugs, but it'd just be nice to have that option available, and see the look of surprise on their face when I take them up on it. They're like, for real? You need just a little pinch, a little snooty snoot. Just kidding, I wouldn't do drugs. Drugs are bad. No, drugs aren't bad. Drugs are neither good nor bad. They just are. Just like every other substance, they can be abused. Just remember that, kids. Drugs aren't bad. People who use drugs aren't bad. Now, people who will steal and kill and lie and cheat and so on and so forth to get more drugs, it's just an addiction. It's a disease. They can't help it. Now, fuck that shit. Do not abide a thief. Anyways, when you start to get famous at all, a few typical things start happening in Hollywood. If you're out at a bar, everyone wants to buy you a drink. You can get into any club, whether you like it or not. you're suddenly a figure on the nightlife circuit. When that started happening to us, there was nothing less interesting that I could have imagined doing with my time. That Hollywood scene was the same old shit, and the more recognizable I was, the less I liked it. The amount of dudes who wanted to party with me had quadrupled, so I became entirely insular. Even on the rare occasion when I wanted to go out, I found that the Hollywood scene we'd known was dead. The Cat House was closed down, and there was nothing else in LA that I found interesting at all. Now that right there is sad. It really is. It's kind of like, what's the point of reaching rich and celebrity status? Because once you've achieved that level, everybody wants to just give you shit, so you can either plug their product or so they can just be close to you. So it's like, now that you can afford the nice shit, it's being given to you for free. What's the fucking point of becoming rich? Like, serious question. I got all this money, I can't spend it anywhere. I mean, I'm sure people will still take it, but you know what I'm saying? Like, whole point of having money is so you can buy things, but now people are giving you shit for free just because you have money. It made no damn sense! And then there's poor people trying to keep up and pretend that they're rich people by buying the shit that the rich people are wearing, but the shit that they got for free. It makes no fucking sense. Why would you want to emulate a rich person? I'm sorry, let me carry on. I was sad for Slash here. Everyone else in the band needed time to decompress. Looking back, it makes complete sense to me that I allowed myself to slip into that seductive heroin comfort zone. It was the one aspect of success and fame that wasn't vapid to me. There was really nothing else. I didn't want to go to strip clubs or look for hot chicks or otherwise exercise my newly found status. All I wanted to do was hang out at Bill's and do drugs. The only stability that I'd enjoyed in my life up until then was the constant traveling, which was a contradiction not lost on me. I was 23 and I hadn't had a stable life or home since I was 13. Home for me was living with friends or being on a bus with the band. I lived for playing my guitar and being on the road, plain and simple. Like I said, Bill wasn't a real dealer. He just liked to get high casually. He always smoked heroin, and he had lots of self-control about everything he did. Meanwhile, I was the opposite. I had a fiendish, obsessive, compulsive attitude toward heroin, and was always eager to get around it and get more of it. That first night over at Bill's, I didn't have any gear to shoot it with, so we smoked it. We all smoked it. But I couldn't wait to grab a bit and leave the next day in search of a rig. It turned out to be the start of a long and nightmarish obsession with heroin that lasted from 1989 through 1991. That's quite a bit of heroin. But I suppose there's worse things you could do with your time. You could start being the president of, like, Taylor Swift fan club or something. I don't know. You could start Cat and Nine Tails Dildo Fight Club. I don't know. There's worse things you could do with your time than a 2-year heroin addiction. I'm sure. Unless you don't have the money for it, in which case Cat and Nine Tails Dildo Fight Club's on your way. Anyways, Bill's place was on Franklin and Western in East Hollywood. Way off the beaten track. He and his wife and their friends were really cool. Izzy and I hung around there on a daily basis and fit in just fine. Bill never allowed shooting up at his place, so I would smoke a little there, pocket some for later, and shoot it up at my leisure when I cut out to do my errands or go to appointments. One of them was a photo shoot with Izzy for Guitar World with Glenn LaFerman. We were both so high, we'd spent at least a week over at Bill's. I remember that we showed up with our guitars and we passed out on the floor. Not much else. It wasn't on purpose. I'm not sure that there were... Oh, God. I'm not sure that we're even aware that we'd done it. I just remember that afterward we went back to Bill's. Sorry, it's just... The grammar kind of fucked me up, so I had to, like, do a double and triple take. I'll carry on. For the record, that shoot contained the famous picture of me that is in the rainbow, where I'm laid out with my hat on the ground and a bottle of Stoli, my guitar, and the rest of it at my side. If you have decent vision, and you take a look at Izzy and me in those frames, you will easily see how out there I was. I was high off the entire success of touring that we were both in search of, the kind of excitement that you'll never find walking out around Hollywood playing Rockstar. I was in search of someplace dark. Eventually, Bill got arrested and was sentenced to 30 years to life for being caught with 3 times with illegal drugs in large enough quantities that they qualified for intent to sell. In the end, Bill served 11 years and got out. But at one point before his arrest, he was under surveillance from his phones to his home. Every move was monitored. 2 of the people who made regular appearances, of course, were Izzy and me. And Bill told me later that the cops were particularly curious about us. Supposedly they are willing to bargain with Bill if he dropped a dime on us because by then we were famous to a degree. But Bill wouldn't do that. God bless him. God bless us, everyone! Oh, okay, anyways. Well, my personal heroin is bourbon and rye. We all got our thing. And hopefully I'll be kicking nicotine before too long. I still have 4 cans of Dippy Poo, so that should last me at least, I don't know, a couple days. Maybe, possibly, probably. Eventually I decided that, in light of the band's success, I should rent a place of my own. My apartment on Larrabee was the first that I'd had to myself under my own name, and I was proud of that. It was just one room, a fully furnished, perfect studio, laid out exactly like a hotel room. That's exactly what I liked about it. Unfortunately, like every other apartment I'd lived in before then, I was pretty quickly evicted. Dingleberry. Okay, that sounds gross. It's like a version of diarrhea that sticks to your ass hairs. What is that? Dingleberry. I don't even want to know. I kept it up for a while. Well, Ronnie Stallnacker did. Actually, one of his jobs was to keep drugs and trouble away from me and from them. And me from them. He'd regularly come through and clean the place up, probably as a way to see if I was behaving. I never did. It was too much fun. It was too fun of a challenge to figure out how to sneak my druggy friends into the apartment without Ronnie finding out. It was always a feat because Ronnie lived right next door. It wasn't going to end well with Ronnie. He got a bit obsessive about his job and went a bit single white stalker. But at this point, he'd done nothing but prove himself to be a very loyal bodyguard despite all of my efforts to fuck with him. For example, one night while we were on tour somewhere, I decided to end the evening by throwing my bottle of Jack into a TV set in my hotel room before I passed out. It exploded, of course, and Ronnie came in. We were a number of stories up, but Ronnie decided that we weren't going to pay for that TV. He climbed out of my window, crossed the ledge of the building, and into an adjoining room, where he stole that TV and replaced it with the one I had broken. That is dedication. Cheetah! Okay, so speaking of hotel exploits, I was temporarily staying at the base hotel while I was on my transition out of the apartment and getting ready to go back to civilian life. And apparently I had a couple drinks. And by a couple, I mean like almost dying. But I kind of like drunkenly leaned up against the little entertainment center. And since this was a while ago, so there was a tube TV in there instead of flat screen because those were god-awful expensive back then. But you know, the tube TV, all the weight's on the front side because of the big glass front and all that, and that shit was some thick-ass shit. Well, anyways, I leaned up against the entertainment center while I caught my fall against the entertainment center, and that was just enough of a bump to cause gravity to force the TV face first towards the ground, because they didn't, heaven forbid, they actually secure an entertainment center to a wall, you know, like they do now, but whew, the TV didn't break. But what did break were the 2 cabinet doors that were open at the time. Full tilt panic mode. I was like, I can't afford to pay for this entertainment center. So what I ended up doing was smuggled out the 2 doors that broke off. And since it was particle board, I actually went to a hobby shop down the street and bought a brown paint and dabbed it up on there. I was like, hopefully they won't notice this till well after I'm gone. Never noticed it, never got the bill for it. Yes, got away with that shit. Am I proud of it? It's something that I just recalled with semi-coherent whiskey brain. Wow. Cheetah, where you been? You haven't tuned into any of my impromptu streams. And if you did, you didn't say anything. Rude as hell. Hey, have I missed a single stream yet? As a matter of fact, since I've been on the road, I think I've done extra streams. Now, they weren't my standard, this is what we do on this day, because, I didn't even bring my Switch with me. I could have played the Miles Morales Spider-Man sequel, but I chose not to, because I just didn't feel like it. Didn't feel like playing PlayStation. Anyways, instead we just painted and we hung out and we drank. I tried to still hit the regular stream time, except the streams were relatively quiet and whispery because, everybody was asleep at that point. The babies, the sister, her hubby, my parents, everybody was just asleep. So I was just nice, low, even tone, just happy little tree. Right? Yeah, maybe. Big Mom! You don't need notifications. You know the general time I stream? Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Thought you're my friend. Why you gotta hurt my feelers? Won't even send me a picture of her butthole. Rude as hell. Look at them beans! Look at them little baby beans! Beans! Yeah? Sweet doggo. She was a champ with the road trip. To and from. What she's doing right now is pretty much what she did the entire 600 or 700 miles, both ways. She's good at that. She's the champ at that right there. Oh, okay. So, Slash exploded a TV with a bottle of Jack Daniels. I knocked over an entertainment center because I was dying. Whatever. I didn't die though. But did you die? Nope. I still standing. Well, actually, I'm sitting. But you know what I'm saying. Is that better? Is that worse? Penises? I hear ya. When you officially Dunzo changed over. Oh, by the way, we're drinking chicken cock tonight. Delicious. But after this little swiggy swig, I'm going to switch over to the Bullet Rye because it doesn't cost as much as a chicken cock. Penises. Another time, when we were in Dallas, Duff and I had adjoining rooms connected by a door, and we invited over too many friends with piles of coke. Oh, this is going to end well. Our party lasted all that night and went into the next afternoon. Things got out of hand, of course, and the big glass coffee table got smashed, and I walked all over it barefoot and bled everywhere. At some point, someone kicked the dividing door off the hinges and tipped the beds over and smashed all the lamps. There were too many of us behaving badly for Ronnie to deal with, so he came up with a plan to get us out of the hotel room without the management noticing. He somehow herded us into a service elevator and snuck us out of a loading dock and onto the bus. The hotel had heard all the noise and was very aware of the party going on, but Ronnie had kept security out of there somehow for an hour or so. We thought we'd gotten away until the cops pulled us over a few miles down the road at a convenience store, where, if memory serves, I'd actually just stolen a bunch of candy. Well, okay. You know, I had this friend, Wally Camacho, back in middle school, and all the girls love Wally. He was the only 12-year-old with the damn full-ass mustache. I mean, it wasn't full, but for the time, it absolutely was a full-ass mustache, you know. And he had a little brother. And I'm not saying that Puerto Ricans steal, but good God, that kid stole so much candy from the shop at and the PX and all that shit. Like, he always had a pocket full of stolen stuff, usually candy. But man, negative stereotype, no. He just happened to be Puerto Rican and stole a lot of candy. Are Puerto Ricans known for stealing? Stealing my heart. No. I like it when a woman's willing to stab another person for you, you included, over the same exact incident. What can I say? Kind of like the freaking crazy dedication. I don't like the actual stabbing bit, at least not me getting stabbed. That hasn't happened to me, but I've heard about it from others' experiences. I've been relatively lucky with my Caribbean girls, Puerto Rican, Cuban, and otherwise. Waffles. Don't worry about it. Well, I hope the transition is smooth and you're comfortable and like your new job. At least I hope your paychecks are straight, unlike the previous job. We were lined up against the side of the bus and taken in for trashing the hotel rooms. It was expensive, and all I can say in honesty, that it was the last time I've ever really destroyed a hotel room. Sure, I've been through a couple of TV sets and done a few other stupid things since, but that was the last time I engaged in total annihilation because I got the bill for that one. When I got married to my wife over in Christiansfeld, Denmark, we managed to break a waist-high table because apparently it was not meant for doing the deed, and then they had like two single mattresses or two single beds, and I pulled them together, and apparently gravity was not enough to hold them together because she fell between the two beds, so she's like, feet and hands sticking out. So I ended up taking my belt and I freaking lashed the bottom legs together, but yeah, broke a table. Let's just put it back on and hope that they wouldn't notice till well after we were gone. They never said anything, so bullet dodged. See, you know, with all my freaking drunken escapades and hotels and shit, I've only broken 2 pieces of furniture. Broke 2 doors off of a damn entertainment center and broke a table. I mean, how are you going to have a table at waist height and not expect people to do it on it? That's just crazy talk. You can't have a waist-high table and not expect somebody to throw somebody on top of that and freaking give it the good old 1-2. No, well, either way, waffles. Didn't get caught. Yay, getting away with stuff. Running was clearly dedicated, but regardless, it wasn't easy keeping my first apartment in shape. The first blow came when my younger brother, Albion, or Ash, stayed there while I was away on tour. Ash is a great graffiti artist, and when I returned, I found that he'd cover every wall with an amazing mural that I had no interest having in my home. I was so pissed off, but I only told him that what he'd done was inconsiderate. He was only 16 after all. Since then, Ash has gone on to form Con Art, one of the most cutting-edge t-shirt companies around. The designs are based on his art. You know, I wanted to start a local franchise-based friggin' damn clothing and apparel store that was franchised, and basically the more popular stuff would be sold in all the stores, and all the stores would feature local artists, graffiti and otherwise. You know, give people a leg up. I think it could still be done. Do I want to dedicate the amount of time it takes to do a startup and get investors involved? No. But I think it would probably be a more constructive use of my time than making 10 cents an hour doing this fucking stream bullshit that I'm lucky to get 3 to 5 people watching. Who knows? Who knows? According to my parents, I'm still young. And you know, it'd be nice to be able to afford shit. We'll see. We'll see what tomorrow brings. But that's one of those things where, you know, it's grand ideas, but I never followed through on shit. Dun, 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 dun. Ronnie painted over the mural. He cleaned up. He did everything else to keep us in there as tenants. That place was pretty simple. I had a microwave. I had a refrigerator full of the usual bachelor pad supplies and condiments. There wasn't much, but even so, it all got beaten up pretty fast. After all, West Arkeen came by all the time, and the two of us got to smoking a lot of crack together. We'd hit the pipe and listen to music and slowly climb the walls. In those tweaked out days I spent with West, I fully realized what a great guy and awesome fucking mess he was. To complement his influence, I had another musician friend, Jay, whose place I went to a lot to get high on smack. All things considered, slowly, despite my financial resources, but surely my living conditions became as gritty as they'd been when I was living in a storage unit. Okay, guys, I'm warm, so I'm going to do a quick wardrobe change. I will be right back. Just gotta change out my shirt because I'm wearing jeans too, so I'm kind of hot, and it's not hot in here. It's just penis. I'll be right back. Stay. You're doing good. Stay. Stay. You're doing great, dog. Stay. Stay. You're doing great. Carry on. Penises. Alright, so. I feel better. And I'm definitely a little bit cooler. Yes, no, maybe so? Okay. Anyways. Where were we? We were talking about the thing. I went through an interesting succession of girlfriends at this time. Just a handful that I'd seen over at my place, each on different nights. At some point during these months, my manager had the brilliant idea of having me present some award to someone or another at the MTV Video Music Awards. I can't even remember who we gave it to, but my co-presenter was Tracy Lords, the porn star, and Alan thought it would be funny for me to be up there with her. Waffles indeed. Obviously, he saw the advantage of the sensational aspect, which was not a bad idea at all. So Tracy and I met backstage, and we started talking, and we started dating immediately. She was really good looking and a bit of a dichotomy, as I soon found out. I was in a strange place. I was mildly famous. I was infamous, but I was still stuck in a raggedy, heathen mentality in terms of my quality of life. At that time, I could have had $15 million in the bank, but it wouldn't have changed my lifestyle at all. I didn't have a car. I was happy to have my one-room apartment that looked like a generic hotel room and needed nothing more. That was where my head was at. At the same time, I knew how to be a gentleman, which is entirely what Tracy Lords expected on a date. So somehow we hit it off. I don't know if I'm capable of living that simply again, but who knows? Maybe if I get a strong enough drug addiction, I'll sell my house for more drugs and live in a shitty apartment again. Sell all my stuff for more drugs. You never know what tomorrow brings. But Tracy didn't want any part of being seen in public with me. If we ever went anywhere where someone might be paying attention, she'd put me through this stupid ordeal where I'd have to come in after her and meet her inside as if by accident. Obviously, I was recognizable, so she always insisted that we scoot in some back alley entrance. Personally, I don't think anyone who ever saw us gave a shit. It just made going out in public with her a huge pain in the ass. Personally, okay, so call me naive, but I didn't get it. I had no idea who she was hiding from. From what I understood, she wanted to keep a low profile because she didn't want to be exposed as a groupie slut or one of the porno chicks that guys like me dated. I was never one of those guys who was judgmental about that stuff and never understood those who were in fact the only reason I knew her was that I'd seen her in this movie where she was bent over holding her ankles and she looked amazing. I truly appreciated that, so I figured that everyone else appreciated that too. I didn't get her whole charade at all. At that point, Tracy was done with porn and was working on her singing career as well as trying to cross over into regular movies. That was why she didn't want to be seen as a porno actress fucking a rock star. She wanted to change all that. She had talked me into playing on one of her songs and coming into the studio somewhere in Vancouver where she was recording her album. All I can say is that she was hooked up with the least talented, shadiest music producers I'd ever seen, and I told her so. Nonetheless, I helped her out on a few tracks, but nothing was going to keep that whole album from being a joke. Oh, poor thing. Everything we did together was very overly formal and very proper. It always seemed to me that she was living up to some idea of herself that wasn't anywhere close to who she really was. Honestly, all that I wanted to do was get into her pants. Of course, once I started dating her, Wes brought over a copy of New Wave Hookers so we could check it out. It was very entertaining, but somewhat of a tease because after a month of dating, we still hadn't slept together. Our relationship was starting to become more of a bother than it was worth. Tracy called me early one week to make plans, and that same day, Wes came by with a huge pile of crack. We stayed up for the next 2 days, and by the time Tracy showed up to go out with me, Wes and I were crawling around on the carpet looking for rocks. I knew she was coming, but I couldn't help it. We were a mess. The only person that would have been okay with it would have been a crack whore. My place was a fucking pigsty on every level, and it didn't help that Wes was there like some resident pygmy. He was only 5'4" and had stringy blonde hair that was really greasy after 2 days of smoking crack. West always had this permanent grin on his face that became more and more disturbing the more wasted he was. This particular afternoon, he was so wasted that he openly leered at Tracy. He was so high that he thought nothing of going over to my bookshelves, retrieving the New Wave Hookers, pointing to the cover, saying, "That's you, isn't it? You're Tracy Lords." He kept grinning at her. Now, Tracy was the kind of girl who was after a man who was going to provide her with the things she wanted in life. Nice clothes, nice cars, a nice life. And while I could have done that, I was nowhere near mature enough to realize that That is what most girls are after, especially girls like her. I didn't see it that way at all back then, because the way I'd been living. I barely paid attention to the finer things, but there she was in the middle of the afternoon in a completely dark apartment that smelled like burning tires after over 48-hour crack party. And there was Wes, short and shiny and drooling, and there I was too. Tracy took a long, slow look around. "I'll be right back," she said in her pouty little voice. "I forgot something in my car." "Yeah, cool," I said. "Then we'll take off." I was high, and not particularly aware of time passing, but I soon realized that she'd been gone far too long to ever be coming back. You know, these poor girls don't realize it. You know, the internet is forever, and, you know, I hope they made their money and they saved it up on their OF accounts. Most normal, self-respecting men will not wife that up ever. But hey, what do I know? The internet knows. The internet is the ultimate member berries. Because even if you delete everything, somebody has copies of it somewhere. If you look long and hard enough, everybody who has a past that was on the internet, it's still there. You just need to know where to look. Or who to ask. People archive. It's what some weirdos do. Look at them ears. Look at them ears. Oh, look at them ears. Oh, yeah. I can mess with their ears while I'm driving, but I can't mess with their ears here. She's weird. She's sweet, though, so I don't really care. My next home was a house Izzy and I rented up in the Hollywood Hills, and that lasted for about a month. It was partially furnished with all the basics that one might need. Beds, a microwave, all of it. We had fun while we were there, and I also managed to write a lot. I wrote Coma, and the two of us wrote Locomotive in that house. There was some creativity going on. Adam Day shacked up with us as well. He is a guitar tech that has been with me for 19 years. Adam moved in, and as much as our professional relationship has thrived since... Oh, frozen face. Adam moved in, and as much as our professional relationship has thrived since, this was the last time he ever tried to live in close proximity to me. Around then, we shot the videos for the Lies album, which was topping the charts, along with Appetite. We shot the Patience video in two places. One was the record plant, where we'd actually recorded the songs. That is where we shot the footage of us playing live. The rest of it, the various band member scenes, were done at the Ambassador Hotel, where Bobby Kennedy was shot. At the time, it was closed to the public, but open for movie and video shoots. I had two snakes that had been given to me when I had my apartment on Larrabee. One was a 6-foot red-tailed boa constrictor named Pandora. That was a gift from Lisa Flint, Larry's daughter. Like Larry Flint of Hustler fame? Anyways. The other was a 9-foot Burmese python named Adriana. Both of them lived in my bedroom closet, and both were in the video. I had just moved into the new house, and I remember the day of the video I sent Adam to get them, and he came back completely freaked out and without the snakes. Yeah, well, I tried to get them, he said nervously, but they are out of the cage and on your bed, so I had to go back to the house to fetch them. No one else would. I remember that day pretty well. I was just starting to become one of those junky musicians that assumes that they're doing is so commonplace and accepted that they almost do it out in the open. I showed up at that shoot, breezed by all the lighting and camera guys who'd been huddled around all day preparing for this scene, and locked myself into the bathroom. I was now that guitar player whose reputation preceded him, and I lived up to it. I stood in there for 8 minutes, and then came out, loaded and lay in the bed with my boa around me. I didn't do much as they shot what they needed. I don't think I said a word to anyone. It must have been surreal. It wasn't the 60s anymore. It was actually the end of the 80s. In the 60s, musicians traveled with their entourage and did shit like that. I was this lone guitar player with a snake just doing my thing, shooting my scene. Well, I hope everyone's doing well, but where the fuck are all my goddamn viewers at? I don't fucking know. Oof. I think it's time to switch to the right as soon as I finish this chicken cock. But I'm savoring. Savor it! Oof. Oof. Was that move button needs an update? Yeah, shut up. I'm never updating anything. As a matter of fact, I told Nate I would call him when I was in the area, but I was just so zoned out by driving that I didn't really call anybody. So, there's that. Did my little impromptu streaming that crashed that nobody told me it crashed, but, it's fine. It's fine, guys. It's all fine. It's okay. After renting for a while, I did what anyone with new money should do. I bought a house like my business manager had told me to do. I still had no clue as to my future or how to handle finances. I had no material aspirations at all. I didn't spend much on anything at that point. Money was still an abstract concept to me. Possessions had never mattered to me, although suddenly everyone around me began to be very concerned with them. I found a house off Laurel Canyon, which was the area of LA that set my mind at ease. It reminded me of the best memories I have of my youth. I bought my first house on Walnut Drive, just off Kirkwood, which is just off Laurel Canyon, and it was forever known as the Walnut House. Incidentally, Walnut Drive was just off the street where Steven fucked the 30-year-old at Alexis's party so many years before. I don't remember that story. The Walnut House was a 2-bedroom, funky little tucked-away pad in need of interior design, so it seemed natural to me to hire the team that installed the Patience video to transform my new house into a similarly gypsy-like environment. They found all the furniture at thrift stores and antique furniture shops, and while they got it together, I moved in with our international publicist, Arlette. She'd been hired on back when we played those first 3 English dates at the Marquee. She'd taken a maternal shine to me, probably because I was such a stray puppy at the time. She let me bring my snake Clyde over, who'd been living with Del James for a while, as well as Pandora and Adriana. Actually, I moved a bunch of other snakes in there too, into the living room of her 2-bedroom apartment off Cynthia and San Vicente in West Hollywood, where Arlette still lives. She was incredibly generous to let me bring all of my pets there. Unfortunately, she would also have to deal with my rampant heroin habit. Every single night, one shady character or another came around back and knocked on my window. Her window, technically. I knew she wasn't a huge fan of my reptiles, but she was less of a fan of me staying up all night, shooting dope, and having undesirables stop by in the wee hours of the morning. Who'd have thought? A funny thing happened with the snakes, though. Arlette was scared of them at first, but she became, with no encouragement from me, a true snake freak. I eventually gave her a baby, Burmese python, that grew to 15 feet long. They became great friends. She took him swimming with her. She'd take baths with him, and she talked to him like he was a dog. She was convinced that the snake was human and understood everything she said, and I must say that he acted like it. Well, impressive. This coming from Slash means a lot, actually. Arlette was very concerned for my welfare when I lived with her, and she pointed out the obvious. I had transformed myself from a happy-go-lucky alcoholic into a fiendish monster junkie who bore no resemblance to the guy she'd known all those years. I knew she was right. I knew I didn't look all that healthy, and I didn't feel all that healthy. I stayed with her for 3 or 4 months, but I did little to change. Instead, I occupied myself with the redesign of my house. It was turned into the gypsy opium den I wanted. They refinished all of the molding and wood and painted every room in dark colors. The kitchen was a deep forest green. My favorite drug bathroom was entirely black. Another room was painted midnight blue, and the living room was deep purple. There was a sepia tone to another room, as if it were out of an old Western movie. I also bought myself my first car to go with my first house. It was a Honda CRX, and like every car I'd ever had, it was black inside and out. I was pretty out of control at the time. I remember showing up to meet the contractor to talk about redoing my bathroom, and thinking that breaking out a few lines would be a good way to break the ice. He and I stood in the bathroom as he walked me through the work that needed to be done. Yeah, cool, man, I said. I slapped down the toilet seat cover and cut out 4 thick lines of Coke. You want one? He looked pretty uneasy. No thanks. I'm on the job, he said. Okay, right. That's cool, I said. I'll do yours then. That is selfless of you, Slash. Way to go, buddy. It's not just that. It's also 8 o'clock in the morning, he said, smiling apologetically. At that moment, I was every single nightmare cliche of that guy that had ever heard about rock stars rolled into one. Even more so because he had been hired to turn my extra bathroom and its huge corner jacuzzi into a massive snake terrarium that took up a quarter of the room. He was going to build glass walls from the floor to the skylight to enclose the tub, which was elevated, plus add a set of plexiglass stairs so that you could see my pets wherever they might be. I couldn't wait to fill it with trees and all other shit snakes like. In the walnut house, I kept about 90 snakes and reptiles. I had lizards, caimans, all kinds of animals. How many? Not oh my god, that's 90 snakes and reptiles. That is ridiculous. He said about. He doesn't know the exact number. And I don't blame him. This is a slut. It's a slut. It's a slut. You're a slut. What? When the work was done, and I finally moved into the walnut house, I commemorated it by getting really high. I had this great idea around oriental wooden table with intricate carvings and a glass top in the den. It was to be the centerpiece for all kinds of cutting over the years. But that first night, Izzy and I sat there with one light bulb on this dark red velvet couch. Needless to say, I didn't clean up right away. You don't say, dog. She's having a dream. Her lip is twitching. You gonna get him? I'm gonna get him. Her beans are twitching. It's okay, baby. It's okay. No nightmares. Only sweet dreams. Yeah, not long after I moved in there, I saw my ex-girlfriend Sally again. My bed in that house was a loft on the second floor, in a room that was pretty pitch black aside from the light cast by a lamp next to the pillow. I had these boxes around the end of the bed that were full of magazines and had remote controls mounted on the inside of them for the TV that rose from a cabinet at the foot of the bed. That bedside lamp was an antique with a salmon-colored glass lampshade that threw off the softest light. I loved it. Oh man, find love in my city? What? In U City? Well, I don't know what U City is, but thank you. Appreciate that. Wish I had what's the word I'm looking for? Moderators that handle that shit, but you know, it's whatever. I find love in U City. Anyway, I remember that night very well. I'd gone to sleep earlier than usual and suddenly woke up with a strange premonition. I turned on the lamp to get my bearings, and there she was. Sally was towering over the end of the bed, just a silhouette on the ceiling and wall. At first I didn't know who it was. It was pretty scary. At that point in my life, I had guns, but I didn't have them with me, and I'm glad if I did, it's possible that I could have shot her. She'd scared me so. Getting inside wasn't easy. She had to jump a fence, walk down a steep set of stairs, and she'd been lucky enough to find my extra key under the doormat, which, of course, was...
Motherfucker.
Hey, what's up, buddy? What you doing tomorrow? We need to do the thing. Which, of course, was forever removed from there afterward. She was not in a good way, so I let her sleep over that night, and in the morning I drove her down Laurel Canyon and dropped her at the corner of Sunset. It wasn't the last time I saw her, but it was the last time she ever got inside my house like that. From what I heard, she hung around LA and got into trouble. The very last time I saw her was in New York, where she was hanging around with Michael Allig, the notorious Limelight crowd. After that, I heard she went back to England and is much happier now. Hello, motherfucker. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Oof. Yeah, that whiskey's doing me right. Maybe we won't drink anymore after this. Call you after 10? I will call you after 10. And we'll do a thing. I'll play Tetris while you freaking damn... We need to pretty much delete almost everything off the sound effects. You need to show me how to get through that, because I'll just record my own audio clips or something. I don't know. No more penis. Oh my god, chicken cock is so glorious. You know what? If money were no object, I'd drink all the damn time. Especially chicken cock. That's just delicious. But, there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. I haven't experienced that, but, maybe, possibly. It's tough to be the kind of person who hangs out around the edgier fringes of society if you're not a musician or someone who has a purpose being there. Everyone else is a disposable player out there in the void of the scene, on the scene. Most of the girls who dated us back then were these innocent chicks whose lives were changed forever after one of us came into it for however long it lasted. We were like a vacuum back then that sucked people up and spit them out. A ton of people, yeah, we definitely need to get Hello Nurse from Animaniacs on there. We were like a vacuum back then that sucked people up and spit them out. A ton of people around us fell by the wayside that way. Some people died, not because of anything we did to them, but as a side effect of being too close to the flame. Some people would get attracted to our fucked up weird life and just get it wrong and drown in our riptide. That sounds like a thing. Anyways, yeah, I mean, I need to create a miniature sound booth so I don't get the fan of the computer and actually just start recording bits and putting on a flash drive, sending it to you so you can, well, I'm sure I could figure out how to edit them together myself. I didn't think I'd become a sound engineer this late in life, but I've got ideas. Penis. Oh. Stephen and Duff purchased homes close to my new place, just over Mulholland Drive on the valley side of Laurel Canyon. They were on opposite ends of the same street. As I mentioned, Stephen was building this version of domesticity with some chick and Duff and his future wife. Well, okay, I need something where there's absolutely no noise. I can't record it in here with the computer running because my cheap little blue mic picks up the light buzz of the fans for my PC. So I can't record it in here. Although, I think if I record it, even if I had like a quality digital recorder, it would be too echoey, so I need something. Well, see, that's the thing is I need to learn how to do that shit, because I understand that people are busy with their own lives and, video editing and all that stuff. Like, I've got, at least a couple 100 hours worth of YouTube footage that I need to edit together and make shorter clips and stuff. I would have to move this mic like probably the max distance away from the PC and actually sit close to it and turn down the gain so we don't get pops, but might be able to make it work in here, but it would have to move pretty far away from the computer because right now it's sitting like maybe 2 feet from the PC. So if you turn the audio up high enough, you'll actually hear the buzz of the fans, which it's not super loud, but it's loud enough to where if I hear playback for the streams, it bothers me. So for people who listen to my stream with headphones or whatever, I apologize. Pinus. And his future wife, Mandy, were settling into their new home life together. Duff was very good at maintaining a household. He never fell into the transient kind of lifestyle that I did. I might have lived less than 2 miles from those guys, but I didn't see them too often. If they'd been drug dealers, I'm sure that I would have. All things considered, I realized that I had to clean up a little bit before we'd be able to get rehearsing again. Duff didn't want to write with me when I was high, and I couldn't blame him for that. When there was a bit of a drug drought in LA, and it became a huge pain in the ass, my subconscious trigger of needing to play superseded my drug craving. I just locked myself up in my house, and with the help of Dr. Stoley and his assistants, I got through my withdrawal. Way to go, buddy. Once I got off the smack, Duff and I got reacquainted, and we scheduled rehearsals. At that point, we did so without any confirmation from Axel. The only messages I got from him came officially through management via Doug Goldstein, who spoke with Axel on a regular basis. Oh, look at this sweet babe. Look at this sweet sleeper babe. It didn't matter that we weren't all there. Steven and Duff and I started jamming at Mates, our go-to spot. Izzy wasn't quite up to joining us. He'd spent a bit too much time around Bill's house, and was on a path as dark as mine. He came to rehearsal every so often, but we never waited for him. At least we were trying to be productive. I had no idea what Axel was up to at the time because we didn't speak, probably because a few of us were chemically out of control. Drinking excessively became the thing again for me. I would drive home from rehearsal totally plastered, passing people on the wrong side while going up Laurel Canyon. I'd be doing 90 miles an hour in my little Honda CRX. I would have died easily if I'd hit anything. I'm thankful that I didn't hurt anyone, get arrested, or die. Someone is watching out for me, given how often I've come close to death and made it back alive. Same. I'm not proud of it, but I've done a lot of drunken driving in my day, and fortunately I only got arrested once and didn't kill anyone. Damn it, Slash! Slash never got arrested for drunken driving. One particularly outstanding night, I turned off Laurel Canyon onto Kirkwood, the street that led to my street, Walnut Drive. There was a guy stopped at the corner of Walnut who was prepared to make a left onto Kirkwood. He was way too far over in my lane, and in my mind, he was in my way. Rather than stop or slow down, I just plowed into his car, on purpose. Okay. I tried to back up and take off, but our cars were stuck together. I had smashed him on the driver's side by the rear wheel, and my car's front end was attached to his car. At that point, it dawned on me that I probably shouldn't have done that. Oops. Oopsie poopsie. I sat there trying to back up and split. I pulled my bumper to pieces because it was severely smashed into this guy's car. As I was doing so, he got out and walked up to my window. "So?" I asked, and stared at him for a minute, squinting. The guy reeked of booze. He was completely wasted and now totally confused by me. "You're a fucking drunk," he said, his speech a little slurry. "No, I'm not," I said. "You're fucking drunk." I lit up a cigarette as he and I slowly came to the realization that both of us were pretty fucked up to the degree that police involvement was a bad idea. "Do you have insurance?" the guy asked. "I don't." "Listen, I can't afford to get in trouble with the law," I said. "Let's pretend this didn't happen," he said. "Fine by me." We managed to pry our cars apart. That guy bolted, and I drove up my little hill as fast as I could. I put the car in the garage and sat there for a moment. My heart pounded as the reality of what could have happened sunk in. I had a much-needed moment of clarity. The repercussions of that misadventure could have halted everything for me. I didn't have a clairvoyant to... It didn't take a clairvoyant to see that if we would ever be in a band again, Izzy and Duff, Steven and I would need to write some music and get Axel interested and back in the mix. We had a few songs going, but we had to keep up the pace and stay focused. We were already almost there. It was becoming exciting again. The original hunger was returning and the fire was alive. We wanted to make Guns music our top priority. We kept rehearsing, and once we'd gotten a few songs all together, we went over to Izzy's place on Valley Vista and Sepulveda in the valley to do some writing and see where his head was. It didn't take me long to figure it out. I was in the bathroom over there taking a leak when I noticed the 2-inch thick layer of dust in his shower and bathtub. That thing hadn't been used for weeks. Izzy was that far gone. Even Axel showed up that day, and regardless, we started working on a song that became pretty tied up. I remember that Izzy had taken a cymbal and a broomstick and some strings and made a guitar out of it. Needless to say, Izzy was pretty fucking high. We didn't have to confront him at all. He had a serious scare one night that set him straight. Whatever it was, Izzy got too shook up to even talk about it. He just called his dad, who came out from Indiana, and took him back home. And that's how and when Izzy got clean. He's been clean ever since. Good for you, buddy. Yeah, Izzy's story is pretty fucking graphic. I've heard him reading some excerpts from his autobiography, and I really want to read it, but it's not going to be a Books and Bourbon thing because it's like super gross. Anyways, penis. The rest of us continued to work, and once we had some material and we were communicating with Axel again, he let us know that he and Izzy wanted to write the next album in Indiana. I couldn't imagine why. Both of them had left Indiana as soon as they could to come to LA, and they never seemed too fond of the idea of going back. In any case, our situation was so unpredictable that I wasn't going to move to a wheat field with no guarantee that we'd ever get anything done. Their whole intention was to get away from the distractions of LA, and I respected that. Axel wanted us to go somewhere where we could have our privacy to focus on writing. I wanted to do the same thing, but at least be in a major metropolitan area, so in the end we agreed on Chicago. It was close enough to Indiana that Izzy could join us when he felt ready, or go back easily if he felt like his sobriety was threatened. Doug Goldstein and I went to Chicago to scope out where we could live and rehearse. We chose the Cabaret Metro, the famous rock club on the north side of the city. It's a concert space that houses a separate club called the Smart Bar in the basement, and also has a theater upstairs. It was perfect. We took over the theater, and when we were done for the day, the coolest bar in the city was waiting for us downstairs. We rented out a 2-unit brown brick apartment building a few miles down the road on Clark Street, right by the elevated train to live in. We all moved out there with our techs, Adam Day and Tom Mayhew, our production manager, and our new security guard, Earl. Duff, Steven, and the crew guys moved in downstairs, and Axel, Izzy, and Earl and I lived upstairs. That was fine by me because I had the place to myself for the most part. It took Axel more than a month to join us, and Izzy was there for less than an hour. It takes Axel an indeterminate amount of time to decide what he is going to do, from the inception of an idea to the point of carrying it out, which always keeps things interesting. All in all, what we were doing wasn't business as usual for us, but it was a start. For a while, it didn't matter to me that we just relocate the entire band in order to satisfy the only 2 guys who weren't there, because by then, Duff and I were such enthusiastically social boozers that the miles of bars along North Clark Street were a new playground for us, all within walking distance. My personal consumption at that point was half a gallon bottle of Stoli per day, plus whatever I consumed when I was out at night. I'd wake in the morning and fill up a solo cup, 85% full with vodka, ice, and a bit of cranberry juice. I called it breakfast of the champions. Duff was in the same league, though I believe that he made a fresh drink packed with ice before he went to bed and left it next to his pillow. That way, the ice would keep it cold enough while he slept that it would still be nice and fresh first thing in the morning. That's planning ahead right there, kids. I'd sit on the floor sipping my breakfast and watching TV each day until the rest of the guys were ready to go rehearse. We'd jam at the Metro for most of the afternoon, sometime into the evening, and then spend the rest of the night in and out of bars. We were more or less hanging out and writing riffs and bits of songs there. We were working there. When we were working, we were focused, but we could never complete any of our ideas without all the players in attendance. So now my right nostril's working and the left one's blocked up, because why not? Anyways, I couldn't imagine having stupid money. I think I would end up hiring a driver because I'd just be drinking all the damn time. Just kidding. I would. Maybe I would. But I would definitely hire a driver. I wouldn't drink and drive because, DUIs are expensive. And that's money you could be spending on booze instead of doing the thing. Oh, what I wanted to get at. So, while I was staying over at south of the border on the northern edge of South Carolina, turning on the TV in the motel or the motor inn, bro, regular commercial television, whether it was news, Cartoon Network, or whatever, I lost interest in every single show and whatever I was watching because the commercials are stupid long. Netflix has ruined me. Netflix and Twitch with skippable, or YouTube with skippable ads, it has ruined me for any type of regular TV ever again in the future. So, I mean, honestly, all I pay for is Netflix and Amazon Prime, which they don't generally have exclusives that I give a shit about. I hardly ever tune into Amazon Prime, but it's just like commercials, gross. I can't stand it. I don't understand how people pay for cable TV. It's super weird. Oh, let me sit through a half an hour of ads for a 2-hour movie. No. I've learned that it is essential for everybody to be present at all times. Our producer, Brendan O'Brien, insisted on it during the writing of Velvet Revolver's last album, Libertad. Everyone in Guns was focused at this point, even Axl, but we didn't have very good group skills and had no idea how to govern our work situation. The desire was there, but we needed regulation. If one of us didn't show up, we'd work anyway, which was one of many things that held us back from getting it together properly. For one thing, Duff and I were intent on drinking all the time and considered that normal because it never interfered with work. But we were so ferocious about it outside of rehearsal that it was off-putting to Izzy. He couldn't be around that kind of behavior, and he's like that to this day. We weren't aware of it at the time, and even if we were, we might not have cared. All we knew was that he wasn't showing up to work, and we couldn't accept that. I'm sure Axl had his reason for doing things his way too, but we didn't have a good line of communication among us about any of these issues, so the end result was serious misunderstanding. Since these points of interest were simply never discussed, since there was never a conversation about how to adjust our game plan to take everyone's needs into account, we kept doing things the way we had in the past, which, considering that we all changed, caused us serious internal tension. Oh, man. Go figure, a bunch of young fucking 20-some-odd-year-old dudes couldn't communicate. Meh. Instead of coming up with a new method to account for our issues, all of the problems just snowballed. This was when a good manager might have turned the situation around, but we didn't have one. Throughout this process, Doug and our management were useless. They didn't seem to want to take the time to deal. Alan was still in charge, and Doug was our day-to-day man, and he wasn't doing anything but enabling us. Their attitude was that we were supposed to know how to do this shit ourselves, And we did. We accomplished creatively, left to our own devices, but only when we were living together as one. Living 5 similar lives. Now that we'd become a band who had to set up shop, and we were coming in from different perspectives, that dynamic was gone. There's no one to blame. We did the best we could. We'd had to get going without Axel there, and we found his absence disrespectful. And that disrespect built up into such great animosity that when he finally did show up, the rest of us were pretty resentful. Excuse me. We were an out-of-control band with some semblance of integrity who had lost their ability to properly channel it all. For the life of us, we could just not get on the same page. We also made no effort to pursue the adult way of handling things. I wouldn't call it innocence or naivete looking back, but we all played a hand in mixing the pot. None of us stood back and took a moment to ask one another or ourselves, how do we do this? How can we get everyone together and working satisfied? We needed to be clear-headed about it. If one thing didn't work, we need to keep trying. But we didn't do that. Outside of the fact that our managers didn't care to take the lead, the biggest catalyst to the demise of the band was the lack of communication among the members. Admittedly, I was pig-headed. I didn't want to always feel like I was bending over backward. I thought of us as equals, and I was making a conscientious effort to get things going. But I didn't have the wherewithal to understand what Axel was expecting, or the patience to sit down and talk it out with him. As with any relationship, when someone lands on your bad side, it gets hard to be empathetic. My guard by then was way up. With all of that going on, it was much easier to just enjoy the summertime in Chicago because the bars were mighty inviting. In our plentiful free time, Duff and I also did our personal best to stay in shape. I had one of my BMX bikes out there, and I used to ride it between the apartment and rehearsal space, bunny hopping over everything in sight, riding on the sidewalk. It was a good workout. Some days, Duff and I even went to the gym, usually after our morning vodkas. We'd go down to one of those big public YMCAs with our security guard, Earl, to pump iron. We'd be down there in our jeans, doing sets between cigarette breaks. It was invigorating. We'd usually cool down afterward with cocktails at a sports bar. It didn't matter how big we were back home, or how many records we'd sold, or the shows we'd played in. In Chicago, we were nobodies. We were just a couple of regular Joes to our fellow bar patrons, and there is not a bigger haven for regular Joes in America than the sports bars of North Clark Street. Every night we hung out at Smart Bar, which was very cool, but a much different rock scene than LA. It was 1990, and that place was all about techno and industrial music like Ministry and Nine Inch Nails. We didn't really gel with people there because we were clearly of a different variety, but we made a circle of friends anyway. We had dozens of chicks. It was like a shooting gallery in that place, but eventually I settled on one. Her name was Megan. She was 19. Megan lived with her mom and younger brother in a nearby suburb and was really exotic looking. A heavy-chested, bubbly, sweet girl. Exotic. Titties! What is it, dog? Oh, waffles. Anyways. I began to settle into a cozy little relationship with her and was getting used to the routine of jamming, however long by day, and hanging out with her all night. And that is when Axel showed up, which changed the dynamic immediately. Despite the resentment, we were so glad to see him that no one wanted to aggravate the situation by confronting him about his lateness. We started to work with him on the days that he actually came to rehearsal, but we were never quite sure which days those would be. He might show up at if we decide that we start jamming at 4 p.m. or 6 p.m., he might show up at 8 or 9 or not at all. When he did come down, Axel generally tinkered around on the piano or sat and listened to some of the ideas we'd worked out. All things considered, we managed to produce a few good tunes, Estranged, Bad Apples, and Garden of Eden. Overall, I found that our time in Chicago to be a huge waste, which will always be a point of contention between Axel and I. He seemed to think that we were really getting somewhere, and I thought that I was the one that ruined it all. I might have felt differently if he'd been there the whole time, but after almost 8 weeks, 6 of them without him, I felt we didn't have enough material to show for it. And I was frustrated and unwilling to wait around to see if we'd get it going consistently. The vibe among us was just too dark and not conductive to real creativity. We were also being so frivolous with our money that I couldn't ignore it. We had moved our entire operation to the Midwest and come up with nothing but a few complete songs and a handful of rudimentary ideas, many of which we'd brought out there with us. I did try to stay the course once Axel got to town, but 2 incidents put an end to my time in the Windy City. The first was the night we came home after drinking to find a feast of Italian food on the sidewalk in front of our apartment. I got a bird's eye view of the mess because, as I recall, I had insisted on spending the entire night lying on the roof of the car whenever we drove from bar to bar. Our favorite Italian place was right on the corner, and apparently Axel had unloaded the band's entire dinner on a few people who had found out that we were living there and were heckling him from the street. By the way, this was not the inspiration for the title of the spaghetti incident. That came from one of the complaints against the rest of us that Stephen listed in his lawsuit, which we'll get to after he was fired. I'm not even sure what he claimed. Something to do with Axel throwing spaghetti at him. I guess that was a theme in those years. I'll throw spaghetti at you. You want me to throw spaghetti at you? Anyway, after Axel chucked our dinner at the hecklers, he proceeded to trash the entire kitchen and break every glass item in the apartment. And as we'd find out a few days later, sometime during his tantrum, Izzy arrived. Having driven in from Indiana, he took one look at what was going on from down the street and turned his car around and left immediately without even entering the building. Do you blame him? I don't. I suppose that the rest of us should have noticed that Axel was unhappy and acting out after that first incident, but by then we'd gotten to the point where we just let him do his thing and tuned it out. Who knows, maybe if we listened to what he wanted to do and just complied a bit more, he wouldn't have freaked out so hard. Still, who could fathom that he was what he was unhappy about? He showed up with this very sort of bitter attitude that seemed to be coming from a very depressing place. But to be honest, I was more worried that Stephen than Axel by then. He was a huge problem. He was doing tons of blow and his performance had become irregular. I didn't catch on at first. He kept his coke hidden in the refrigerator in the downstairs apartment where he lived. What? Penises? I mean, spaghetti does not have bones. That is true. That is a very true statement. If your spaghetti has bones, there's a problem. What's up, dude? We'd be hanging out and sharing a bit of blow, but I couldn't figure out how Steve was always that much more wasted. He'd just get this twinkle in his eye and say, "Hey man, butter tray," and point at the fridge. Yeah, okay, Steve, sure, I'd say. I'd go to the refrigerator, fix myself a drink, and come back with nothing remarkable to report. I didn't think he actually wanted me to look in the butter tray. He was that fucked up at that I didn't take it seriously. Did you see? He'd ask, grinning wildly. He'd just keep pointing at the refrigerator and saying, "Butter tray." Yeah, man, I saw it, I'd say. That's a great refrigerator you've got there. Really nice butter tray, man. Butter tray. So, Stephen, what are you trying to say? Tom Mayhew discovered it eventually. Stephen had a steep supply of coke piled up in that butter tray of his. Well, kids, you don't want to keep your cocaine in your refrigerator because it's going to absorb moisture. Okay, you want to keep your powder relatively dry So the freezer is a much better place for it. Besides, cocaine is a bit absorbent, kind of like baking soda. So it's going to absorb whatever scent's in the fridge. So, you know, if you got like 2-week-old Chinese, suddenly your Coke is all MSG and garlic and fish sauce. You don't want that. You don't want that. You doing all right tonight there, Spielt? Don't keep your cocaine in the fridge. At this point, I had really no choice but to see that we were all unraveling. No matter how in control I felt I was, or thought everyone else was, I realized that Stephen was growing irretrievable. As soon as the band ended its stay in Chicago, Stephen and I had less and less interaction. He was completely isolated once we got back to LA. We were tight as a band gang-wise, but during our 2 years on tour, Steve and I developed a distance between us as individuals that grew nothing but worse. One of the few things we had in common as a band at the time in Chicago, though, was a shared interest in Faith No More's album, The Real Thing. I am reading the / autobiography. Ba 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 ba. One of the few things we had in common as a band at the time in Chicago, though, was a shared interest in Faith No More's album, The Real Thing. It was the background music for that entire trip. It would be playing all the time on the different stereos in our apartments. There's the background. In the end, this is why I left. The last straw involved some girls that were brought back to our place one night. My friend Megan had gone out, and I was at home in bed. Late at night, I heard some commotion, sound of a few people filing in and heading past my bedroom down to Axel's room. Until then, Axel had spent most of his time in there alone, constantly on the phone. This night was clearly an occasion. My room was at the front of the apartment, separated from Axel's by our living room and a long railroad-style hallway. So I went down there to see what was going on. I found a security guard, Earl, Tom Mayhew, Steve, and Axel hanging out with 2 happy-go-lucky Midwestern girls that they'd brought back. We all hung out, and as it got later, it was suggested that the girls have sex with all of us. They were willing to blow everyone in the room, which seemed reasonable to me, and they didn't want to fuck us. For whatever reason, that really pissed Axel off. The girls had a very intelligent rationale for their point of view, but Axel begged to differ. This debate continued for a moment, and it was pretty relaxed, but suddenly Axel exploded. He threw them out with such rage it was shocking. The way it went down was completely unnecessary. The coup de grace was that the girl's dad was a prominent officer with the Chicago police, or so I was told. Later that morning, I packed up my stuff and flew back to LA. A few days later, I had Megan move out and join me. Well, I don't know his current situation, but I don't think he's going to last. Anyways, cheers. Go ahead, Spielt. Ask me what I'm drinking. Ask me. What are you drinking, Psycho? Oh, nothing. Just a little bit of the chicken cock. Right? Yeah, I think I'm done drinking after this cup is gone. Oh. People think I got a drinking problem. Thanks. We're drinking chicken cock. It's delicious. Oh! Yeah. Chugging the Pen 15s, baby. Guns was a band that might break apart at any second. That was half of the excitement. He got you. We got you covered, man. We know you're done in Brazil. Yeah, home of the Gracies. Elio and all those other guys whose names are spelled weirdly. Hoist, which is spelled with an R, don't make any sense. Don't matter. Different language, different rules. Right? Portuguese. Anyways. We had a common goal that was less likely to happen. The more time we spent apart as our communal, creative vibe became more of a memory than a reality, our lack of communication and the disadvantage of not knowing what was truly going on with one another disabled any ability we might have to deal with change. At the creative level, things between us had changed drastically. Until Use Your Illusions 1 and 2, Guns wrote songs one way. Start with an idea that anyone could come up with, and then we'd collaborate. Axl is so prolific lyric-wise, and has such a heartfelt sense of melody that, combined with Izzy's songwriting skill and Duff and myself, creating great guitar parts was easy. So we'd have amazing songs in no time. Izzy and Axl had such great chemistry because Axl knew how to transform one of Izzy's simple structures into a perfect, well-rounded, melodically and lyrically rich song. A great example is Patience. Axl really elevated that song of Izzy's into something else entirely. I have such a powerful sense of melody and riffs that I tie it all together. A lot of time I would start the core of writing a song with a guitar hook that Duff would expand upon with a great bass line. I'd come up with the bridge and chorus section that would inspire Axl to write incredible lyrical hooks. When Iz and I brought a song to the band, usually some or all of the words were there, but then Axl sang them his way. It would really come together. Back then it was easy, but by 1990 we'd lost that communal inspiration to produce. The desire to get together and write songs is one thing. That's like a day job. It's quite another to be inspired by a mutual collaboration. That was the harshest reality for us to come to terms with. For the first time, we had to work at it. All the same, when we finally got down to it, it was great, and it came quickly. But everything along the way was a complete fucking chore. I think I'm done. Slash kicking back on the balcony with some toad venom. Toad venom! Yeah, he looks fucked up. I myself am not fucked up, but I don't have to be fucked up just because I'm drinking whiskey and water. You guys doing okay? Are you guys doing okay? Because, I'm doing alright. I'm not mad. Okay, that's my default setting. I'm a little bit mad. I'm always a little bit mad, but fortunately I don't turn into the Hulk. I just turn into the bulk. Think I need some ink therapy, baby? Well, I hope Sydney's not busy because I want a big piece. Big. Hopefully it doesn't take all day, but it probably will. Maybe she's gotten faster. I mean, I haven't gotten any new ink in like 2 years, and I'm overdue. I need some new ink. Should I do a tattoo live stream? Maybe I will. Maybe I probably won't, though. Oh, well, I mean, I'll stay on for a little bit longer. If you're not sleepy, after all. Look at that beautiful doll. Look at that beautiful doll. Roxy, are you a beautiful doll? Yes, you are. You're a pretty girl. Huh? Oh. No, pretty girl. No, always pet the dog. You gotta pet the dog. Pet the dog. Yes, this was my riding companion today. She was a very good girl. We took her out for a couple walks, got gas, and little breaks every now and then. She doesn't like when I mess with her ears, but she was really she doesn't mind me messing with her ears while we're driving. You wanna lay down? Yeah? You wanna lay down? Lay down, baby. Oh, it's like stop motion. Very good girl. Very good girl. Did you guys catch her on the driving stream? I put the camera on her for like maybe like 3 seconds. It was one of those blink and you miss it kind of moments, but at the same time I was trying not to die at 90 miles an hour. I mean, I wasn't driving 90. Ooh, no. Not me. I'm a good boy. Speed limit's my max. But hey, the good news is I don't drink and drive. So, you know, got that going for me. Bad news is somebody drank all my Jamesons. Who drank all my Jamesons? It's not like it's a little bottle. Now, in my defense, I have had that bottle for over a year. So, you know, don't judge me too harshly. But if you take about this much coffee and about this much Jamesons and this much Irish cream, whew. No, what's dying? Is it? What you talking about, Willis? No, you're too young to know about what you're talking about, Willis. I drank my whiskey. That's what I was talking about. You missed no ending. I pet the dog for a little bit, and now she's back to doing what she does. Oh, that's fine. I was streaming and then apparently it crashed, so I restarted it, and there was only one viewer for the sequel to the short stream, and that was fine. I wasn't feeling it, so like it's hard to do a driving stream, and especially when nobody's talking, it's just like fuck. But the problem was the first one crashed because my alarm went off, and apparently when the alarm goes off, you know, I have Spotify linked to my morning alarm, so for future note, I'll have to pencil it in, turn off my Spotify linked alarms while driving, because that crashes the entire thing. It straight up crashes the stream, so it's just like, okay, penis. Because what I have going on at once, I have the GPS going, I have the stream going, and I have Spotify going all at the same time. So when I have to turn Spotify off because the alarm goes off, it crashes everything. Lesson learned. Don't do it again. Aight then. Bet. Anyways. Okay, penis? Yes. Okay, penis. Where are we going? Just for you. Just one? Just one. You just get one. Only one penis for you there, Spiel. You haven't been here that long. But I do appreciate you coming back. Like, it's weird because sometimes I get people, they're on for like a day or two and we have a great conversation and I feel like we're vibing and they never come back. And it's just like, what the shit? What the shit? Ooh, I do have something from Brazil. I have a friggin', I have a Taurus Judge. Angry Pokemon Solo? The Flight of the Bumblebee is an angry Pokemon Solo? I mean, if you insist. Oh, you haven't... Hold on a second. I gotta show you my emotional support machete. Since you're new to the stream, you haven't seen it yet. I shall show you my emotional support machete. Oh, behold her in her entire glory. But wait for it, the best is yet to come. When we flip her over, speaking of angry Pokemon, yeah. This is the Pikachu. It's my emotional support machete. When I'm getting sad or angry, we've got our little emotional support machete. And the reason why I picked it out, not only because it has a beautiful black blade, but it's a two-hander. Have you ever seen a two-handed machete? How beautiful is that, though? Seriously. It's very well balanced, too. I can finally... Oh, yeah, it's definitely sharp. I mean, if I absolutely had to, I could probably take someone's arm or head or leg off. I wouldn't. That's just brutal. There's no need for all that savagery. Besides, I have too many loaded airsoft to worry about using blades. Do you like Pokemon there, Spielt? Do you like Pokemon? Yes or no question. If you don't like Pokemon, I'm not going to show you my little Pokemon collection. But if you do, Nate likes Pokemon. Well, at least he's using one of my MS Paint freaking creations. Tony Chopper has nothing to do with Pokemon, although he's kind of a Pokemon. He's adorable. Spielt, you didn't answer my question. Do you like Pokemon? Oh, okay, hang on. This is just for you, buddy. Oh, come here. Are you ready? Hold on. I'll even walk it up for you. So I made this shelf. With my favorite Pokemon, we got Pikachu in the corner. The light's kind of off, but we got Pikachu in the corner. I don't know if does closer help? No, it's too bright. There you go. We got Pikachu. We got Gengar. We got Magikarp. The big Pokemon logo with a little skull button. We got Psyduck and Eevee. More Magikarp and all that goodness. Oh no, we can't do this. Lars is going to show up. Anyways, we got the pops and stuff up top and miniature canvases, and we even have some models that we built. We even have the VMAX Pikachu and controllers, penis. There you go. That was just for you, buddy. As one of the new supporters of my channel, I feel like you should know that I do have some Pokemon. Fuck! Most of it licensed, some of it not. Anyways, I will be on tomorrow night, Bobby Ross Wednesday. I'll be doing some more painting. Maybe a little bit more drinking. Maybe. I'm not 100% on that. But in the meantime, maybe we should go on a raid. Shall we go on a raid? Oh, we gotta check out KR Acoustic. This guy's awesome. He's gonna sing a song for me. Alright, guys. We're gonna go on a little raid. I appreciate all of you for tuning in. I'm gonna stay on for this raid, and I will see you guys tomorrow around 8:30 Central. Fucker. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Let's go on this raid.